Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Let's talk about the plane situation. So, like I told you guys, I did One Fest 2 weekends ago. And I told y'all I left my hotel at 4 a.m. This was Monday morning. I left at 4 a.m. Got the rental car back. You know, you got to take the tram. You know, Atlanta's just a whole lot to get to the airport. Went downstairs to clear because I could tell the regular line was crazy. I was in the clear line for an hour and 40 minutes. Got on the train, made it to my plane with about 35, 40 minutes to spare. That was early Monday morning. By that afternoon, the lines were just wrapped around, and it's been chaos at the airport ever since. We're going to go ahead and watch some of this stuff here. It's scary what's going on right now. And again, we can't even be mad because people are not getting paid. So we're going to watch some of this airport, the stuff that's going on at the airport, long lines, TSA, the disruptions. And all of this is coming because of the government shutdown, right? These people are not being paid. This is the longest shutdown now. I think we're on day 38, if I'm not mistaken. The longest was back when Trump was in office and was 35 days. So we've now surpassed that. Once again, the reason why the shutdown is going on, they're blaming the Democrats. The Democrats are blaming the Republicans. But the main reason why it's going on is they're holding off because of the health care. Everyone, including myself, I showed this to you guys on the Zoom meeting. This is my stuff from Blue Cross Blue Shield. This is my letter. I'm not going to really show it on camera. It has my address and stuff, but Blue Cross Blue Shield, right? And it says here, starting January, your estimated monthly premium will be $802. And in 2025, my premium was $655 a month for my insurance. Okay? Everybody has received that letter from their insurance company. A lot of people cannot afford to pay higher premiums. The average person, it's already high. Me and my oldest son just had a whole discussion. He came by here. At his job, his deductible went from $1,000 to $3,000 for his deductible. So everybody's getting hit with this. This is why the Dems are holding out. Yes, people need food. People need SNAP. But a lot of people are going through it right now. Mental health, diseases, depression, food outbreaks. Because the people who are supposed to check our food, remember they were gutted earlier in the spring. People are dying from listeria. There's stuff that's coming back that should have never even been back. Because there's no checks and balances right now. So that is why they're holding off. Because right now, everybody's insurance, once Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, it was supposed to renew this year. And if it does not get renewed, everybody's stuff is about to go up several percentages. And that's what they're trying to prevent. So it's almost like because they're trying to prevent that, everybody's being punished with this shutdown. Somebody says I pay close to $1,000 per month for healthcare for myself and my 2 daughters. Yeah. Somebody said her deductible now is already $3,000. Yep. It is a lot. It is a lot going on. So it's just, it's a mess. It's a mess. So let's go ahead and watch what the shutdown is doing to the airline industry currently.
And in Houston, at times, security
Look at
lines
this.
spilled over outside the airport. At one point, the wait at TSA
Crazy.
checkpoints was more than 3 hours long. Ugochi Aloka.
Somebody said in the comments section on Instagram, they were in that mess in Houston. You guys know, like every year I do like a Friendsgiving get together. This point, anybody coming from out of town, I've just told them don't come. I don't want people having to deal with that to come. Just stay home. Whatever stress, whatever less stress we can put on these people, let's do that. If you do not have to travel, do not travel. As much as y'all know me, I would jump on the plane quick. I'm just not going to travel until they get this shit figured out because this is ridiculous. I can only imagine the stress of the people in line waiting. Flying is already uncomfortable, because you're praying, you get to your destination safe and, you land safe. But then the TSA people, short staff, and you're having to deal with all these folks. The person on Instagram said they were waiting in this mess. She says 3 hours. That wasn't the case. A lot of people were saying that they were in line for 6 hours and still missed their flight. They were not holding these planes. So if you were in line, even though you had been waiting for 4 hours, if you weren't there to make it on your plane, that plane was leaving regardless. They were not holding any planes. So then what ended up happening is half those people in line in Houston had to spend the night and sleep on the floor in the airport. Or if they were lucky, go to a hotel. So a lot of people did not even end up getting on their flights. So keep that in mind. It is that bad right now.
Aloka spoke to travelers in Houston about their frustrations.
Got here early, and am I glad I did. Look at this mess.
A mess indeed. Houston airport officials are urging passengers to get here early. This KHO11 viewer listened to that advice.
You got here 4 hours before your flight. Why is that?
Saw on the news at 6 a.m. KHOU that it was going to be a 3-hour wait. So here we are.
Long security wait times could last as long as the federal government is still shut down due to staff shortages. Some travelers underestimated just how bad it would be.
I think we're going to miss the flight.
How do you feel about that, sir?
Terrible. We're so concerned about it.
What was your reaction when you saw the line?
I want to cancel.
She ended up sticking it out. At Bush Airport, only TSA checkpoints at terminals A and E are open for passengers. At Hobby Airport, fewer screening lanes are open with wait times exceeding over an hour. Some passengers were ready to wait.
Get here early and be patient. That's the only thing you can do.
Because you can't control anything else.
No. Everyone's doing the best they can, and I know everyone else is waiting as well, so just understand that.
Meanwhile, others are frustrated. This government shutdown is happening all together.
I'd like to have every congressman standing right behind me going through this same thing so they can see what us Americans are going through because they don't do their job.
Halloween weekend was the worst for air traffic control staffing shortages since the shutdown began on October 1st. That's according to FAA data. There were 98 staffing trigger reports. That's when air traffic controllers have to change operations to keep the airspace safe with fewer people working. It can include derouting planes or delaying flights. Experts have warned travelers would see more flight disruptions the longer federal workers have to go without a paycheck. Brianna Costello spoke with an air traffic controller in Dallas who says he had to pick up another job to support his family.
Safety in the sky is a growing concern as the federal shutdown enters its 5th week.
I don't want to sit down and map out how long I can go. I think that'll cause me more anxiety than anything.
Air traffic controller Jack Chris is one of thousands of federal workers who are working without pay.
Short staffing, high workload, and then not knowing when you're going to get paid, that just sounds like a recipe right there.
Chris spent most of his career at Dallas Love Field before moving to the D.C. area for his 15-year-old daughter last year. He's still going to work, but now he has a second job. He's working for DoorDash to keep food on the table.
The political games have real-life implications, and I just urge Congress to get something passed.
He missed his first full paycheck. Airlines are scrambling to help. In
This is what scares me, and I'm going to keep it real, okay? If you do not need to fly, do not fly. Because I know people are like, oh, I'm trying to book a trip. I want to, I'm trying to go to Miami. It's getting cold. If you don't need to fly, do not fly. If you think it's scary with the long lines on the ground with the TSA, what scares me is that air traffic control people have some of the most stressful jobs in the country. That's why it always pisses me off when they try to attach that to DEI, that they can look at that black man in that position and call him DEI. That is one of the most stressful jobs. There can be consequences. If you make just one mistake, you can go to prison. If they find out that a plane crashes and it was your fault, you can get locked up. So these people are under enormous stress and pressure. If you don't understand, these FAA controllers, they are under enormous stress, right? So now imagine under a normal day with a full staff of people, all your coworkers there, it's still stressful because you're in charge of keeping these planes in the air, making sure they don't crash into each other, and just whatever else, right? Now you're having to deal with the stress of, one, you're not being paid. Two, you don't know if your coworker is going to come in at any point in time. They could call out and now it's just you, meaning you may have to stay longer than usual or come in earlier, but you're not being paid. That's the main thing. So now after a long, stressful day of working in the FAA tower, now you have to go and DoorDash because your bills don't stop. You still have your mortgage due, rent, groceries, child support, and whatever else. So after a while, I've been putting myself in their shoes, but after a while, I had to start thinking, human nature can sometimes go rogue. What if one of these people just end up just being so stressed out, depressed, upset, just they lose it and they snap, you know what I'm saying? Or fall asleep or just whatever. And then a plane crashes into each other. Like this is starting to be like a really dangerous game that's being played. You're putting even more unnecessary stress onto a very highly stressful job. And these people still have to worry about how they're going to take care of their families and pay their bills. And then on top of that, the commander-in-chief said they're not giving people back pay. Remember, somebody tried to argue with me in the live when I did the video on that. Oh, he has to pay. It's in the rule book. What fucking rule book? They've broken every rule known. What rule book? They're doing what they want to do. He also said the other day that he was going to give partial SNAP benefits, then changed his mind less than 24 hours later. But keep having hope and faith in these rule books. So these folks already know that all the work that they're doing, they're not even going to get back pay for. It's insane. It's insane. And I think, like I said, that's the scariest thing because it wasn't too long ago. I want to say last weekend, 2 planes almost crashed into each other. I don't know if you guys caught this tea. And they were saying that the 2 planes that almost crashed was because there was nobody to direct them. Okay, here it is. 2 commercial aircrafts nearly collided recently in the sky near Cleveland, Ohio. Okay, I knew I wasn't tripping. I can't find the video. I was trying to find the video of the 2 pilots talking. I'm not seeing the video, but it almost happened the other day. And you could just they're like, oh my gosh, that was a close one. Like you could just hear the relief. And I'm just like, this is really scary. It's getting very, very dangerous. I wish I could find the audio, but I'm not seeing it. And then, yeah, somebody said that a UPS plane crash today in Kentucky. So let me pull that up. Let's see what that was about, because I didn't even know about this. Before I play the Kentucky plane crash, I want to play out what Sean Duffy said early this morning, because I had everything in sync. So for then the plane crash to happen is just very scary. But this is what Sean Duffy said this morning. So I wanna hit on that first before we watch what happened in Kentucky. So this is the warning. So Sean Duffy issued this warning 6 hours ago.
You all stop.
So we're gonna watch this really quick here.
Long after you all stop reporting on this shutdown, I'm going to deal with the consequences and the commitments I've made to improve our pipeline for air traffic controllers. By the way, we're up 20% this year alone from the previous year, which is great, but this will have an impact. So I think open up, more controllers come to work the next day, and we'll see immediate results. Just one point I'll make on this as well. The controllers got 90% of one payment, 80 to 90% of one payment. They missed the second paycheck. On Thursday, they get an email pay stub that'll show what their next payment is going to be. So this Thursday, they'll get an email that shows that their pay stub is a big fat zero. Many of the controllers said, a lot of us can navigate missing one paycheck. Not everybody, but a lot of us can. None of us can manage missing two paychecks. So if you bring us to a week from today, Democrats, you will see mass chaos, you will see mass flight delays, you'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers. And that was a really long answer to your question. Yes.
Just to follow up, Dave, share some words on that.
He's talking about they're going to eventually have to close certain parts of the airspace. They're not going to be able to run the airspace in certain parts of the country. Wow.
Last comment. Last Friday was a really rough day for the airspace, right? 80% of controllers are out in New York. There was, I think ZNY was down to one supervisor at one point. How concrete are those contingency plans to have to close some airspace if things get worse? And maybe you could also speak to this integrator meeting you had yesterday and how close are you to picking the integrator.
So we can move some of the management to other facilities. We can get help from other facilities to keep the airspace somewhat functioning. But again, we have our managers, and the FAA and us will close the airspace down. We will restrict the airspace when we feel it's not safe. After
that was this morning, he said they would restrict the airspace if they feel like it's not safe. So it's getting bad. So let me go back to the other video, and then we'll watch what happened in Kentucky.
Texas, Lovelyti is setting up a donation drive, but area food banks are bracing for the impact.
You'll have a lot of people in crisis. They won't have enough food to eat for themselves or for their kids.
Chris knows it's only a matter of time. Something will have to give. He hopes the safety of the flying public is not part of that.
I mean, how can you manage this from an emotional perspective without thinking to yourself, should I do something else?
In Arlington, I'm Brittany Costello.
The FAA previously reported they were already down about 3,000 air traffic controllers nationwide, even before the shutdown. The National Air Traffic Controllers Association represents more than 20,000 controllers. It says many of its members were already working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and the shutdown is adding even more strain. Brianna Keeler spoke with the union's president.
The amount of stress, the fatigue, the frustration.
Now, didn't I just say that earlier? She said that they're working 10 hours a day on a normal basis. But now with people not coming in, that's more hours, that's more stress. And now the president is saying, the fatigue. People are only human beings. You can only do this. And then think about it. After working this stressful job for hours and you got to turn around and go do DoorDash.
Is growing every day. Air traffic controllers are waking up to a headline that says there's no end in sight, and that leads to a level of hopelessness as well. And there's not even as many air traffic controllers that are working today as there was in the 2019 shutdown, where air traffic controllers are working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, and that was already an issue that we were working on. And now every day that this continues, it continues to build, and it continues to put them in a place that is completely unacceptable.
Can you help us visualize what it's like inside of, a tower when there are not enough people?
You start having one person take on multiple tasks where you would normally have that workload divided between controllers. They're going to go to work. They're going to do their job. They're going to keep everyone safe. But you have to start slowing down the number of aircraft that can go through it so one person can handle this level of complexity. This is the most high consequence job in the entire world. You're making 1,000 decisions, in just one rotation to ensure that aircraft move safely in and around the airport or in the sky. And every single time that they have to take on an additional level of responsibility amidst all these other issues is something we have to be concerned about and something we have to manage.
What are the personal financial dilemmas that they're facing right now?
We're not only seeing air traffic controllers already reporting, like, I have no money for gas and to be able to get to work. They're over 1 month at this point without a level of compensation for the amazing work that these patriots do day in and day out. But also on top of that, not having childcare. We're seeing air traffic controllers for their first time starting to resign. We have trainees that are resigning, and we have certified controllers. And we're getting reports of them resigning over the course of this past week.
You've called for a clean funding bill. That's right?
Yes,
You've called for a clean funding bill. That at this point is the demand of Republicans in the White House as well. You were at the White House roundtable this past week on aviation, travel, and union leaders, and the White House has said they have no intentions to meet with Democrats until the government is reopened. Have you been able to speak to Democratic House and Senate, especially leadership, about what your folks need?
We have, and our message has been consistent from the very beginning. 1 day of a shutdown was too much. Air traffic controllers cannot be used as a political pawn. And I can help everyone know the end of this story. People can't live without money. It's putting us in a position to, for an air traffic controller to have to not only deal with this profession, but then weigh going home and having to have the consequences of being at a home and trying to explain to your family that you're going to go into one of the most demanding jobs in the world and you don't know when you're going to get paid again. Our message is simple. Open the government, and it has to open now. That's the real issue, and that's the only way that this is going to be solved.
You've been through this, time and again, and the threat of...
Okay, so he's saying some real stuff. It's sad what's going on. This is bigger than just SNAP benefits, healthcare. I mean, again, everything is having a trickle-down effect. Everything. And I know a few people are asking, let me come back on the screen, child. Hold on. I know people are asking, can you tip the TSA people? From what I've heard, because there have been people who try to tip them, they'll get in trouble for accepting the tips. They're not supposed to take any tips from people. They can get in trouble because it could look like you're tipping them to allow you to bring a gun or something on the plane that shouldn't be on the plane. So even tipping is not an option at this point. So I think one of the things you can do, because I know a lot of these folks are going to food banks and pantries, is to donate food, send money to these pantries, volunteer. A lot of pantries use volunteers to hand out groceries. I will be doing some volunteer work around my city once I start feeling better. I think I had talked to the lady on the phone because she said I can drive people food, because there's some who can't get to the pantries, like if you're sick or you're older. So they also have a mobile pantry where you can collect food from the food shelf and then take it to people's houses. So I think that might work a little bit easier for me, to just because I don't, I be getting recognized and stuff. So I don't want I don't want a debacle. I'd rather just be in my car and then go and bring people food. So I think I'm going to sign up for that. But there's different options. So definitely check around your city. They need people to deliver Meals on Wheels, food to people in bags and stuff like that. They can't make it. Or you can box too. So you can also box if you don't want to hand food out. So there's a lot of different things. You guys know, this whole summer, I worked the garden. A lot of the food that we did at the public garden a lot of that food was turned in, whatever we didn't sell at the farmer's market was sent to pantries. So a lot of the stuff that we grew this summer was sent to pantries and stuff around the Twin Cities. So, but now the gardening program is over because it's getting cold out here. So I'm going to be doing volunteer work then to supply food. So definitely do that if you guys can, if you have the time. But, you know, I get it. Everybody doesn't have the time. People have to work and things like that. But if you have the time, definitely do that. Let's go ahead and find out what happened in Kentucky, because I didn't even know until you guys told me. So let me pull that video up. Let's find out what happened.
I'm John Dickerson. We begin with the breaking news in Louisville. A UPS cargo plane bound for Honolulu crashed today. It was taking off from Muhammad Ali International Airport.
It happened at about 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Louisville is a major hub for the United Parcel Service. Chris Van Cleve covers transportation for us and has the latest. Chris?
This was a 34-year-old MD-11 with 3 crew members, 2 pilots and a flight engineer on board. It appears something went catastrophically wrong as this plane was accelerating down the runway in Louisville. We're going to show you some video. It appears to show at least 1, possibly 2 of the plane's 3 engines on fire as it was in the process of taking off. Whatever happened quickly. The plane did not stay in the air very long. It would have been loaded down with a lot of fuel, enough fuel to take it from Kentucky all the way to Honolulu. That's why you're going to see substantial fire that is burning just off the runway there at the Louisville airport. That airport is going to be closed during the immediate response to this. We understand there's about a 5-mile shelter-in-place order there because of the widespread fire debris. It looks to be stretched quarter of a mile, maybe a half a mile, all of it on fire. It came down in an industrial area. Semi-trucks are burning. A recycling center is in that area.
This is scary. I really hope there's not like people who are working in those buildings. This is insane. And then imagine the people who are at the airport getting ready to fly out. Now all those people are going to be grounded and can't get, back home or wherever they're trying to go. Wow. Oh my God.
As well as people who work in warehouses, the factories there that need to be accounted for. We don't know at this point how many people on the ground may have been in those businesses. We do understand 3 people were on that UPS flight, a 34-year-old MD-11, a converted airliner that's been flying for UPS since 2006. That's one of the workhorses of the UPS fleet. It's a 3-engine wide-body jet that they have been using for years. Now, certainly what will happen now, the National Transportation Safety Board and the FAA will send investigators. Spoke with the NTSB. They are gathering information. They're figuring out their plan. They will be the lead agency here, trying to piece together what went so catastrophically wrong. It appears whatever happened during takeoff. You can see in video what appears to be the engine on the left-hand side on fire, possibly as well as one of the other engines on fire. Guys?
Transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve, thank you.
What is the White House saying? Okay, so 3 fatalities, 11 people injured so far, but it's expected to get larger.
Information we can confirm on their status. From the videos that I've seen, I'm very concerned for them. But again, I'm still praying because I've seen people make it out of things in these last 6 years that I didn't think were possible. We'll have more information soon, and we'll also want to make sure before we confirm anyone specific is deceased that we've talked to their family, who deserve to hear that information first.
This is insane. Look how that fire has spread. And if these people were working in these warehouses, they had no idea this plane was, going to dump gasoline and, oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll get that information out. Depending on how much news there is, we may be able to get it out on social media or release directly, but we'll work with our news partners.
Welcome back. We are still following the latest out of Louisville, Kentucky. The FAA confirming a short time ago that a UPS flight crashed after departure from the Muhammad Ali International Airport. The cargo plane was headed to Hawaii. Several law enforcement agencies are responding to the scene of the crash. You can see there a massive plume of smoke is visible near the airport. The Louisville Metro Police Department says that injuries have been reported, that the scene remains active with fire and debris. Authorities say a shelter in place has been issued within 5 miles of the airport. They are urging the public to avoid the area. Governor Andy Beshear writing on social media just minutes ago that the situation is serious. First responders are on site. He says to pray for those affected. ABC News transportation reporter Sam Sweeney joins us now by the phone. Sam, what can you tell us about how this crash might have unfolded?
Elizabeth, it's too early to tell, but we are seeing video pop up on social media showing flames underneath the plane as it was rolling down that runway. And preliminary radar data shows that this plane only got to about 175 feet in the air before it crashed and burst into flames. It was an MD-11. That's a large freighter cargo plane. It was traveling from Louisville, Kentucky to Honolulu, which that's roughly a 9-hour flight on a good day, which means this was loaded with jet fuel. So you can imagine, this explosion and the smoke it's massive. The debris field is massive. And what's going to happen now is the NTSB and the FAA are going to launch investigators. They're going to try to collect all of that early evidence from the scene to try to figure out exactly what happened and, of course, recover those black boxes. Right now, we know that there were 3 people on board that plane. There was a captain, a first officer, and a relief pilot. We don't know about anybody else on the ground as far as injuries or death.
Sam Sweeney, know you will stay on top of this for us. Thanks so much, Sam.
I was not expecting that. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. And, it looks like from the video, the plane was catching on fire as it was taking off. So I wonder if something wasn't checked and if maybe it wasn't checked thoroughly because there's not enough people to do the job, with this shutdown. But we're going to have to wait, to get more information on that. But, rest in peace to the 3 people who lost their lives and whoever else on the ground possibly lost their lives as well. So it's sad, all this stuff that's going on. So thank you for that info, because I had no idea that even happened.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.